already know just where I be, dog. I ain't being cocky, but Philly what I'm reppin'. Watch me check it like it's hockey. I ain't tryna get it twisted. If you get it, then you got me. If you with it, cool. If not, I'll treat you like a Tamagotchi. I'ma let you down point. Yeah, I never disappoint.
What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Today we got episode 2 of the Be a GM or franchise mode, whatever you want to call it, of the Seattle Attack. So if you guys remember the last, I guess it's 2 videos, we had the expansion draft. And I've already had to record this once, but the audio ended up messing up, so I deleted, the progress that we made, and now we're just going to go back, go right through it, and start off with the NHL entry draft. So let's start it off. I skipped the day before it, because, who needs it? I just said, now that you got your expansion draft roster, build it around it with prospects, and blah, 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 blah. So either way, we got the 5th overall pick, if I remember correctly. Yes, we do. So like I said last time, this is not the Dalin, Svechnikov, and Zadina draft. This is the players that I forgot, Hischier and Patrick draft. So we're going to get someone along the lines of down a little bit here with, a couple of guys. So either way, hopefully, Patrick or Hischier falls down to us. But let's just simulate right through. And what the heck? What? So I was completely joking. I am recording this live, by the way. I'm not, just going over it like I normally do. But Nolan Patrick just went 4th. How does Nolan Patrick go 4th? Okay, so I guess a little bit of a different start to the video as I expected, because when I recorded it before, obviously Patrick went 2nd. So, that's, I guess, interesting. If I would have known that, maybe I would have traded up for him. I don't know, but I guess let's get right into the guys. So, I'm probably just going to stick with the same picks that I did last time, as obviously you guys didn't see it. But I ended up picking Cody Glass, but I kind of want to change it up a little bit, but then there's not really anyone else I really want. So, what I was saying in the last one was, if this was, the year after this with Dalin, Svechnikov, Zadina, and, the other guys that are in the top 5, we would have a great pick. But as for this draft, we have a lot of question marks because Anderson, Yamamoto, Velarde, Brandstrom, Glass, Foot, these top, I think that's 6, top 6 guys are all very good, but they all have very, I guess, inconsistent potential. If that makes sense. So every time I play a different be a GM mode, there's always a different person that gets really good. So when I was playing, I recently put a be a GM as Tampa Bay, and they obviously have Cal Foot, whatever his name is, and he did terrible, right? He got up to be an 80 whatever overall, and I called him up, and he didn't really put up points, and he didn't do well at all. So I looked up, where he was playing in real life, and he actually was, I believe he's playing the left side as a right-handed defenseman, which is a little bit different. So I even went out to go look for the same line mate he had in, where does he come from? Kelowna or whatever that is. And, I finally figured out that he actually plays the left side, so I started putting him as a left side, and he does a little bit better, but he never really gets up to, that superstar that we need. He gets up there in overall, but then doesn't really put up any points or does well at all. But anyway, sorry for that little story. But as for what we're going to go with, I kind of want to change up and go with, not him, Anderson up here. But he doesn't get really good either. And like you guys remember last time, we are stacked on defense. So I think I'm just going to go with normal Cody Glass here. And do the same pick we did last time. Now, as for after him, I don't remember who we actually took, but I actually went to simulate on. So, Anderson is a 70 overall. I did forget about that one. But last time, we ended up trading Bojamin in, or no, did we wait or no? I don't think we waited. I probably should have remembered that, but we did not end up trading him at this draft, I believe. I believe we waited till free agency, but I do remember the trade that we ended up making. So I'm going to decline him. I'm actually going to try to stop the simulation. Actually, we're going to make a pick first, and then I'll trade him afterwards. But we end up making a trade that we'll get into in a little bit. So this is where I actually had a little bit of trouble before. And actually, it looks like the guy I normally would have taken. Yep, he did. So in the before draft, I actually took Alex Formenton, which is an Ottawa prospect. But let's go to the end here of where all of these guys went. So just to see some of their overalls And a couple of guys looks like they jumped up a little bit of usually what the position was. So that's, I guess, interesting. So not really the guy we were looking for there. But I took Alex Formanton last time, but I guess he's not available to us this time. So it'll give me a little bit of a change here. So just off of my knowledge of, you know, the draft and what I can remember, obviously Liljegren's pretty good. He was, I believe, a Toronto prospect that did well in the World Juniors as well. As for other guys, there's Nicholas Hague here. I know who's pretty decent. Matthew Strome is supposed to be really good in real life. However, in video games, he sucks. Along with, is it Nolan Foote, I think, is the other younger brother there. Or not Foote. Is that Foote or is it Strome? I don't remember. But someone that's similar to Matthew Strome is terrible. So, other than him, I think it's Morgan Frost. Yeah, he's pretty decent. And then there's also DiPietro if we needed a goalie. But obviously, we're pretty stacked on goalies for now. But as for what we are going to take... So we're going to pick Timothy Liljegren. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but obviously he's a pretty decent defenseman, 66 overall already. And that's not the button I want to click. And let's send him to the next user pick. And I wanted to actually make a trade before then. So let's do the third round pick, then make the trade. So hopefully we don't forget after this one. But let's go. Immediately, I don't see anyone I actually recognize, which is kind of terrible. Pavel Ovechkin? I've never actually heard of him, so I don't know if that's actually a real player or not. As for what else we could possibly get, there's Ian, I think it's Ian. Yeah, Ian Scott, he's a pretty decent goaltender in his own right. Other than him, I think what I did in the last draft was I actually scrolled down a bunch and took another guy that I knew was pretty decent. But as for this mode right now, we're going to go with Ian Scott. He's a good goaltender. You know, he has a pretty good potential if I remember correctly. Maybe not. Maybe it was last year. But I did it again. Bozeman, no. We want to trade him. Okay, you know what? We're just going to do it now. Hopefully the clock doesn't go down. But we can't wait any longer because if we do, the trade value might go up for the player we are trying to acquire. But as for these picks, I don't recognize any of these guys that have decent potential. So we're going to go with, I don't remember this guy's first name, Daniel... That guy. I'm not even going to try. It's okay. Right here. Offer trade. So we actually were trading Zach Bozeman, who is one of the only guys on our trade block who is a defenseman. Actually, our only guy on the trade block, it looks like. Where'd he go? Zach Bozeman right there. And we actually ended up trading him to Detroit. Where is it? Right there. We actually ended up trading him to Detroit in exchange for, I forget, this guy. This is the trade we ended up making before. But for the sake of this video, and we'd have to wait till free agency to do it, let's go through a couple of these teams and see if we could possibly acquire anything decent. So we could go get Peugeot. I'm pretty sure, is his extension on here? That's a good question. Is his extension? His extension is not. So we could get Peugeot. We could also get another player or prospect if we wanted to. We could get Chaplik, or Shaplik, whatever you want to pronounce it as. He's a pretty decent prospect there. Who else could we possibly just snag in this trade? Shabbat? That would be a steal and a half if we could get him. Anyone else down here that has decent potential? No. Anyone here? No. So do we want to steal away a guy like Shaplik, who is already AHL eligible, so that would definitely help us. Gives us a prospect center. Let me just see about Shabbat. What would that do for trade value? Okay, that would significantly not do what I want to do. So let's go to centers. Let's go see what Shaplik is and see what that is. Okay, so that's a little bit more balanced there. So either we go with the two center strategy here of Peugeot. We'd have to re-sign him. That's no issue there. And Shaplik, who would be a prospect center for us for Bozeman. Or we could go get the guy from Detroit. I keep forgetting his name or how to even pronounce it. So let's try this trade. See what we can get. So quite close to fair value. So that means we could probably throw in... Actually, if I remember correctly, this cop guy doesn't want to re-sign for, or he wants an NHL contract. which I don't blame him. Obviously, he wants to be up there. But if we could possibly throw in him and then get someone else back, that would be a decent prospect. That would fill up a guy on our team. So Nick Paul, although he is decent, I don't really care for him. So we're not going to go for him. Phil Veroni, not really feeling him. Left wings, we could possibly get Chris Kelly, but again, not really interested in him due to the fact that we're trying to build our franchise and not really get, older guys. No one really here. DiDomenico wouldn't be, terrible, but again, not really interested. Defense, Ben Harper, Englund, Yaros. Can we get both of these guys? Can that be a thing? Still quite close to fair value. So let's go throw a pick in here. Actually, who is that? Oh, that's that guy. Okay. So draft picks. We have a 5th, 6th, and 7th left. You know what? Let's throw in a 7th from this year, so that way we don't have to give up any really future. Okay, it doesn't want a 7th. You want a 6th. I think you definitely want a 6th. Not a 6th and a 7th. We want just a 6th. And trade. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so Boschman is gone. We got our center. We got our prospect center. So I'm super happy about that one. So let's go finish off the draft and get right into free agency. So for our 4th, I think it's 4th round draft pick, we're picking up Jake Krisky. I don't know how to pronounce it. But we're picking up this guy. All right, so now we are here in not free agency. We're in the re-sign stage. So what I usually like to do, and what we are going to be doing, is going just position by position, see what we're gonna get, see what we need, and see where we're gonna go with our team. So to start our franchise off, we're obviously gonna need to sign a bunch of free agent AHL people. That's kind of no question, unless we get guys like Shaplik in a trade, or obviously we got a couple guys from the draft. But as for, our NHL bodies, that's where we want to be most focused on, obviously. But Peugeot, obviously, we just got in a trade. So 2 years. Let's sign you to a 2-year, $2 million deal. Seems pretty fair. Probably be playing either... Actually, I'm probably throwing the first line since I got a little bit of favoritism there. But we already got Letestu, obviously, so he's probably going to play some third line for us. Chris Tierney, 2 years at 2.1. No, let's get you down to about a 1.85 for 2 years. That's a pretty decent deal. Ryan DeZingle, let's get you to a similar deal to that. Let's go to 1.5, see if you accept that one. No, although I'm not really worried about the cap in the first year, we're going to have to get up to the, the basement, or not the basement, the salary cap floor. So, that's something we're going to have to be interested in. Obviously in free agency, we're going to have to get some different guys. But as for the re-sign stage, we got Martin Grabner up there, Burmistrov. Hopefully all these guys want, they want 2-way deals. And we can possibly just, not hide them in the farm system. But hopefully with all these left wings, we can just, hopefully fill them into our lineup where we can. But it looks like DiGiuseppe actually wants a 1-way deal. So he wants to be playing in the NHL. So although I want to sign you to that, I'm going to qualify your offer. And hopefully you sign that deal. So we have 5 NHL bodies for right wing. Now, what I did last time, and what I'm going to do again, is I'm going to release both Parenteau and Hemsky. And not because they're old, not because they're bad, but what I know is in free agency is what I'm really interested in. Because Brown, Smith-Pelly, and Brown are all basically 4th liners. Or 3rd liners if you absolutely need them to be. However, what we're going to get in free agency, hopefully, is some more top-line guys. And you wanted a 3-year deal. How about no? How about a 1-year deal at 1.25? So let's get on to defensemen. Kevin Shattenkirk, obviously one of our biggest names out of the expansion draft. 4.2 at 3 years there. Xavier Ouellet, excuse me. So let's get you to a 1-year, 1.25 deal. There, perfect. Petrovic, we're going to make a trade later on, but I will show you guys that. Brett Kulik, or Kulik, whatever your name is. Let's, you do want a 2-way deal, so we'll just stick with that. Polka, what do you want? You want a 2 years at 9? Yep, we'll go with that. Derek Pouliot, same thing. You know what? We'll just sign you to that. I like that a lot. Anyone else down here? Nope, we got Logan and then the other guy there. So, goaltenders. Now, this is where it becomes really interesting. So, obviously, we drafted Scott in the draft. But here's where it becomes interesting. Now, we already had Corpusello. He already had an extension on him. So, this is his extension deal. However, he is at that overall to where he's going to be wanting an NHL spot. Now, we already have Subban, who will most likely be in the AHL, barring a trade. However, Ryan Miller wants a really stupid deal. So, we're going to have to release him because I don't want to sign him for 3 years or even 2 years. At 36 years old, you know, most likely if he doesn't perform, we'd end up trading him. So, Neuver and Corpusello are going to be NHL goaltenders this year. Then we're going to have Subban, and we're going to have to sign 2 other guys to fill in the 4th and 5th goaltender spot in the AHL. Well, I guess 2nd and 3rd in the AHL. But since we can't simulate a day from here, let's go simulate a day and come back, and hopefully all of our guys re-sign. It looks like all but a couple accepted our deals. So it looks like all the restricted free agents are still, you know, obviously wanting their money. So JHoyt, you still want 2.4. What did he get in real life? It was like 3 at 3.1 or something like that. But either way, for the franchise mode, we'll go 2 years, 2.5. You know, obviously I like him as a player. Chris Tierney, don't really want to sign you to that 2 years at whatever I tried to sign you to before. But let's just go 2 years, 2 mil. You know, we got to get up to that, you know, floor somehow. So Dzingel. Oh, that's right. We tried 1.5 before. Let's go with 1.85 there. Goaltenders, we still got Subban there. Do you want a two-way deal yet? Nope. So hopefully we go into free agency with all these guys signed, and then we'll work on some bigger names to bring into the team. So it does look like all of the guys we just offered contracts to accepted, and now we are in the free agency. So let's go to the trade block here. We're not going to try to trade any of those guys. But as for this, I'm going to do this real quick, just kind of trying to get some prospects, trade away a couple of guys, and then we are actually going to make another trade. So this is how we're going to be setting up our trade block with the exception of these future picks. I forgot to do that before I started bringing it back. But either way, so this first one is 17 years old to 25 with the overall being 80 plus. So that way we can try to get some guys that are about 80 overall or higher, and just kind of build our team that way. For these two, we got 17 through 21 years old. You know, just good prospects, you know, good potential, you know, good everything there. So as for that, you know, just kind of trying to get prospects, obviously, in the farm system. Then picks, we want every pick, obviously. So we have nothing against our surplus and nothing on the block right now. But as for we go into free agency, I'm going to make one trade, and then we're going to go in and sign a bunch of people. So this is going to be the only trade I think we're going to make right now. Now, when I was originally doing this, I was only going to trade Petrovic for Miller, which I believe goes through 1-for-1, no issue. However, I was looking at their trade block, and they have David Perron, Michael Grabowski, I think it is, and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Now, we don't need Grabowski or Bellemare, but Perron could easily be our best forward at 82 overall. Now, the only way we're going to get him is giving up, you know, around a second round pick. Because if you did it without, you know, the 2 picks and Kulik there, the trade value is very, very uneven, obviously, because Perron has a lot of trade value. But Kulak doesn't really fit in our system, and we have, you know, he's just going to be stuck there. Now, as for Vegas, it helps them out because they need prospect defensemen. So as I go to their defensemen here, as you can see, they have a lot of guys that could easily play in the NHL this year. No question about it. But they just need, you know, younger guys that could play in their farm system. So that helps them out, obviously. Not trying to help other teams, but in this case, it helps them out. But then as for forwards, that kind of screws them over, but they have a lot of guys they could easily replace them with. Now, like I said, Bellemare and Grabowski don't fit for us, and right wings, we're probably not going to be able to get any of these guys. So I was thinking, if we can make this trade go through, Perron definitely helps us out. It gives us another option, you know, going into free agency, and, you know, just be a good trade overall. So let's see if it goes through. I don't think it is. So I don't think I'm going to be able to throw in a 3rd round pick from this year. Let's go back to draft picks. And let's try to get a 4th round pick from this year. It looks like it's Tampa Bay's pick. Doesn't want that either. So let's just go right down the line here. Try to get a 5th round draft pick because I don't really want to just not get not get another pick back. That just wouldn't really make sense. So 6th round pick. That is something you want to give it up. So I don't know why they're not giving it to me here. So 7th round pick. How about that? That's perfect. Quite close to fair value. So it doesn't look like they want to give up a pick. And then it's a bit off there. So you know what I'm going to do? I hate to do this usually, but I try to stay within the first 3 years of draft picks. But I think I'm going to throw in a 1st rounder there. However, then I'm going to throw in a 3rd round pick from this year and a 3rd round pick from the year of that 1st round pick that we are giving up, which is 2020, and then see if that goes through. So that way we get, 2 picks for 1, even though I have to give up a 1st for 2 thirds. So hopefully, there we go. So trade accepted. We got our guy. So, like I said, we were going to just trade Petrovic for Miller, but you know what? Perron was there. We were able to acquire him, and we can move on. So it gets rid of Kulik, who would just been buried in the system as it is. We still have Edmondson and Ouellette that we could, possibly trade for someone and, get a prospect there. But we still obviously need, AHL guys. We'll get to that in free agency. Usually I'm not going to show it. I'm probably not going to. But once we get into the season, we will. So let's see what's on the market as we just made another trade. So sign free agency. Hopefully it loads up a little bit faster here. This video hopefully is not going to be too long, but there's a lot of defensemen. The last time I recorded this, obviously there is a lot of defensemen that are obviously good, but we don't need them. But I'd love to get a guy like Niederreiter, would be a great pickup. A guy like Burakovsky would be a great pickup, but they're both restricted free agents, and I don't want to spend picks to get them. So let's just go right into forwards here, because that's what we really need. So Hansel, not a fan of him. Plus, our centers are pretty well stacked right now. But one guy I am going to go for is Justin Williams. Now, like I said before, we have to get up to the salary cap floor. So we're actually going to sign him for 1 year at $5 million. Now, usually, if this was any over offseason, I would probably offer him around 4.25, 4.5. But since we were trying to get up to that salary cap anyway, I don't want to have to cheat the system and sign like an AHL backup goalie for like a $15 million deal. So if we can get, overspend a little bit to get the guys that we want, it would help us out a little bit. So hopefully we get Williams there. But as for centers, we're good. Right wings, we need one, obviously. So there's him. As for another guy we could possibly get, Verbata, that would give us another, scoring guy. But then we have Perron, and then we have Grabner. So do we really want another right wing, or do we want to move Perron to a right wing? You know what? Let's go after... Is there anyone else? Okay, Iginla. We could make some history with Iginla. Or we could go Verbata. Oh, that's kind of a tough decision because they're both kind of the same thing. We need to spend money. Do we need another left wing too? Well, we just got Perron. We have Grabner. If we can get a solid 3 lines of 80 plus, I think we'll be all right. So let's go with Kunitz because he is also a scorer. Let's go 1 year though, and at about $3.5 million. So we have Grabner, we have Perron, and then we have nobody at really right wing. So we have Perron, we might move over, but then let's also get, I think we need one other player, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, we have the perfect amount right now. So if both Kunitz and Williams do sign, then we are good. All we have to do then is just get a ton of AHL guys, and then we're good. However, we still need to sign Malcolm Subban, who is another restricted free agent that we have not signed. So let's go to restricted free agent. And where is he? Subban. There we go. So hopefully you want a 2-way deal now. No, you don't. So I don't really want to risk, having him there. but also he doesn't want a two-way contract, which really sucks because I really want him to sign a two-way contract. So let's just try to offer him a max, I guess, two-way deal there. So as for all of the AHL guys, I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to cut it out because it is really, really not fun to watch. It's just going to be me finding guys that I know can perform at the AHL level, just to have some guys in the lineup. And then after the first year, we're going to start having prospects come in, obviously. And then we can start building our team from there. But as for right now, I'm going to go through and sign a bunch of AHL guys. Hopefully Williams and Kunitz do sign. If they do, I'll bring it back. But if not, then we're going to have to go for someone else. So we had one of our restricted free agents sign, Philip DiGiuseppe. Also looks like Chris Kunitz has signed. And Justin Williams has signed. So perfect. We got our, I guess, technically three NHL bodies. So I'm going to quickly go through all of these guys and get back to it. So it looks like we have to go, I think, re-sign Subban as well. But either way, let's fast forward right to preseason. So we are right before the preseason, and the owner wants to make sure that we know his expectations. So it says, Seattle, it's a new season, so let's get right down to business. I have set goals for the upcoming season that I would like you to accomplish. Have a look and ensure that you are clear on my expectations. Remember, I will be evaluating you based on how well you perform in these goals. So obviously we want to do well, right? We're a new franchise. We're in Seattle. We want to do well. So let's view the goals. So I would like you to be within $1.5 million of the player's salary budget I set of $61.536 million. So I don't know if I'm able to do that or not because I don't know which way, the salary cap needs to go for us. I did not look before we came back here. But secondary goals, I want us to win our regular season home opener. We'd get an additional $15,000, but that's a secondary goal. And the team store needs to be a little nicer. Upgrade the store by level 1, or by one level. Okay, so I guess to level 2 or to level 1. I don't really know. But we need to do that as well. And then stretch goals, we need more parking for the arena. Upgrade the parking lot by 1 level. So we need to upgrade the team store and we need to upgrade parking. So that's not really too difficult that we need to do. He is very pleased with the work you have been doing with this franchise. Keep up the good work. State of the team, it says rebuilder. Obviously, we haven't really established ourselves. So it says, as rebuilders, my expectations are low in regards to team performance, but we still need to field a competitive team to keep the fans coming back. So our owner is excited, obviously. So we want to do well here. We are not going to set captains or do lines this episode. But as for this, we are done with the everything pre-game, I'll call it. We had the expansion draft. We built our team. Now we have done the entry-level draft and the off-season. And we are working ourselves right to the first game of the Seattle Attack franchise mode. As for scouting, the AHL stuff, the franchise stuff, most of that stuff I'll probably keep off camera unless we're in the middle of making big upgrades or, something huge is happening. So as for what's going to happen next, we are going to go into the preseason. Well, I should say in the next video, we're going to go into the preseason, and then we are actually going to face off against, it looks like, the Vegas Golden Knights as our first ever game. And I think it's the Seattle Megadome or Superdome or Super Ultra Dome or whatever it's called. That's going to be our first game. I have something in mind I kind of want to do for that one, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, guys, as for now, I'm going to wrap this one up. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.
I want you forever, even when we're not together. Scars on my body so I can take you wherever. Like, I want you forever, even when we're not together. Scars on my body, I can look at you and never